Sebastian with ShowMeThat.com, Wheatworks, and today I have a good friend of mine, Mr. Randy Jenkins.
Yeah, man.
Now, many of y'all, you don't know this guy, but you don't realize he's been playing drums on some of the Wheatworks projects for years. You just never saw him in the picture, but this guy is an incredible keyboard player. He's just one of those guys that went from playing drums to playing mastering keyboards like overnight. It's like one time I see him play, I'm like, oh my God, this dude was just playing the drums. But he went to school and he studied. He's learned a lot. And what he's going to be sharing with us, we're starting a new series called The Gospel Guy. And he's going to be sharing all sorts of techniques of modern church. I mean, I know a lot of us are used to the drummer and the guy on the organ, and that has worked for a long time. But as many of you know, church has changed.
Yeah.
Music has changed. The way it's approached has changed. And he's going to show us some modern ways how to integrate technology into worship service, how to manipulate computers and controllers and all of that stuff in a live situation. Because let's face it, some places you go, churches don't have the budgets to have full bands and have everything that you want.
Just don't have it.
Just don't have it. So what he has done out of necessity
For real.
is to create his own band,
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah.
and set up different things. So in the this is just the introduction. We're gonna show you some things, but he's gonna be breaking down, showing you how you can utilize Ableton Live and different programs, programming of keyboards, using controllers, all of these different techniques to do things in a live situation.
Yeah.
And you could tell us a little bit more for what I did not say.
Well, I think the first and foremost thing you said was to be able to um, provide a church who doesn't have a large budget to provide them an opportunity to still have a full sound. So that in and of itself is why I got involved, because the church where I was at, they just didn't have it. I barely had barely could afford a bass player. It was myself, drums, and bass. And you want all these things. You want to be record ready. On the church where I was playing, even though they didn't have a large budget, they were known. So they had artists and different acts coming through there. And I wanted to provide the artists, when they came to my church and they didn't bring a band, I wanted them to hear their record. So as soon as we started, they can recognize this is my record, right off bat. But the problem that I was having was that some not just artists, but more so the praise and worship leaders and choir directors, they weren't used to following a format. So most Pro Tools, Logic, Reason, Cubase, most of those programs, they go from left to right, and that's it. And the problem we were having was, if somebody blew a section of the song,
That was it.
that was
The
it.
whole thing just crashed and burned.
Right? And we couldn't, hundreds of people there, we couldn't have that happening.
Yeah.
And truthfully, you can't even have that happening with, if it's 10 or 15. You know what I'm saying? That's just that's not cool. So with working as a producer, I knew that the MPC would allow me to, go from section to section, and it would do it on the downbeat. I didn't have to necessarily time it perfectly. The Motif has that option as well, but like the MPC, the Motif, they both were limited, being that they only had 16. You know what I'm saying?
Tracks,
Options.
yeah.
With the MPC, you could have more than 16 tracks, but you were only limited, if you had a 2000, you were only limited to MIDI channel A and B. After that, that was it. And depending on how strong your modules were,
Basically 32 voices.
you know what I'm saying? You were the polyphony was getting eaten up. So I had to stick with a computer, and I had to find a computer generated program that would allow me to go from section to section anytime I felt like it, and I not have to worry about timing it perfectly. So in my research, I found, asking guys, I found Ableton Live, downloaded it, hated it from Jump Street. I was like, oh, this is whack. I don't like this because it wasn't a linear program. It wasn't what I was used to seeing. But I took some time, got into it, and dragged some audio. And first thing that got me was I could slow down and speed up the audio without changing the key. So automatically I was like, oh shoot, this is crazy. Then I changed the key without changing the tempo, and it never really lost its fidelity. So that was good. And I said, well, let me get into this. Let me see what's happening. So I started dragging in samples and different loops and stuff, and I found that this was something that I may be able to work with. I found that I could go from like one section to another, and I just got, the more I got into the program, was the more I liked it. And then once I decided, okay, this is something that I'm definitely going to use, went out and bought it, because I don't believe in using pirated
bootlegging.
Yeah, so
Amen.
I went out and bought it,
Amen.
and so got into it some more. Really did my homework. It's something that you really gotta do your homework with.
Yeah.
But it's so valuable because now, the church where I am now, they're so spoiled. They're used to hearing if if there's no click, if there's no background music, no tracks, no nothing. They kind of looking like, what's happening, But it's really good because live allows you to sound full and still be flexible. Still, I can tap tempo. Let's say somebody just starts jumping up and shouting, I can just go and it'll start. You know what I'm saying? Whereas before, I only had that tempo and I had to be like,
all right, y'all,
that is
hold
right.
up.
Yeah.
Stop for a minute.
Right.
Let me start.
Now I'm able to, and I have how I have it set up. I have every type of click you could think of. I got a click for Blessed Assurance. I got a click for, High Praise from Judy McAllister. A whole bunch of different, clicks.
Yeah.
Because I never want to be caught off guard. So if somebody stands up and sings a song, I have something that I can get to quickly. When I don't have the luxury of having a bass player, I have little bass patterns, especially for shouts. When I'm by myself, I usually can just play hand bass, but shouting, I want to play. I program the bass, a bunch of different bass skits, a bunch of shout breaks that I can get in and out of, anytime I want. The dope thing about live is it's made for DJs, so there's like a little crossfade switch, and this controller here, there's no sounds, doesn't do any beats, nothing like that. It's just it controls the live environment. And sometimes I find myself touching my computer just because out of habit. But this little crossfade switch allows me to almost have an emergency stop. So if I have music playing and something goes wrong within the arrangement, or somebody forgets a pass, or something, just happens awry.
It's like a panic slide.
And I just turn the music off. The click keeps going, but the music stops. So, when you got a click track or MPC or something, once something goes wrong, you got to stop the whole thing. So this allows me to just kill the music. And not the music. So it's so versatile. It's so much stuff you can do with Ableton Live, and I don't go anywhere on stage without it.
Wow.
No job. I don't take any job without it.
Without it.
No.
I'm sure some people, they look, hey man, how come you're not using Reason? Or how come you get Pro Tools? Well, they look at so many other programs, but you feel this is the perfect program for a live situation.
For a live situation. Now tracking, that's something different.
That's
I don't use it for any production whatsoever. It's just specifically for the live environment.
For the live environment. And that's what people are looking for, that whole live element, because like you said, a lot of the old systems is you got to start and you got to ride it all the way to the end, and that don't work in church because the spirit moves a different way. Somebody wants to sing an extra verse, you in trouble. So you need that flexibility. So you're going to be showing us in different tutorials how to do all these different things on here, and how to set up Ableton and really get going and doing whatever.
Excuse me. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's such a valuable program. All the guys I know, all the MD cats I know, I tell them like, listen, you need to. This is what you need to be using, because again, I've been in situations where people have gotten up, they get up, they sing a song that I don't know they're gonna sing, but I'm still able to have a record quality sound because immediately, as soon as you hear a click track, you automatically everything is in sync. You know the song is not going to move. There's a certain groove element and an assurance knowing that the tempo is not going to fluctuate. And that makes everybody feel that much more comfortable. And as the song is going, I have different elements that I can pull in, different samples, different breaks, different things to make it sound like it's a bunch of guys up there when it's really just me and a drummer, or me, a drummer, and a bass player. And that's very valuable, very, very, very valuable. I find myself getting work just because people know
you can do
they're
this.
And it's true. I'm not really a player like that. I can play a little bit, but I'm not known for being able to get busy like that. But people know when they hire me, they're gonna get a record quality. And shout out to a bunch of Lauren Dawson and a lot of Joe Wilson, a lot of guys put that in my head. I saw them do that.
You saw them
every time they sat down, it was a record. Mike Burrell, they're record ready every time they sit down. And that's inspiration. And those guys were privy to have musicians and large budgets, and I wasn't able to have that, so I had to figure it out.
Figure it out, make it do
up.
what it do. All right then. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna let you demonstrate this whole crazy setup you got over here with your APC.
Yeah,
MPC.
right.
I like that.
APC 40.
It's the Akai APC 40.
Yeah.
And it's driving Ableton. He's using some things. This is my Sunday morning rack over here. He's using some things out there. I got a 5080 in there. I got a MKS 20. I got a Motif. I got a Trinity, and that's it. So let's do it.
Yeah. So right off bat, you got, real quick, I can, like I said, tap tempo. So let's say somebody gets up and they're shouting super fast. Yeah, glory, hallelujah. Nobody's gonna shout that fast.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? I could do it slow.
Unless you're Brooklyn in the 80s.
All right.
Anywhere you want.
Anywhere you want it. So let's say if I have a bass line, right, and I'll do it slower. Now it sounds a little weird, but there are different options, in here where you can make the sound
it's like stretching
more,
that time across,
and it'll sound more realistic. All right. So anyway, let's get to it. All right. I got a mute switch for my kick drum. There's a bunch of different things you can assign. So I usually start like that. Right. We got a shout going, and it's grooving. All right. Let's run it again. I want some things I want to take care of first. know, it's a lot better with it. You know, you got a full band and everything, but you
Yeah,
know, you
but
get the
that
point.
sounded incredible, man.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, man.
Oh my goodness. And then also you have it where you can do it in any key. You can bring
Any
it
key.
up in any key.
Any key, yeah.
So forth, and that, man, that's incredible, man. That's incredible. It's like you playing along with a band.
Yeah, yeah. Especially, you know, like say like, you know, something like we just did. If you got a drummer, it's that much more believable. You know, and then you hear it coming through, you know, speakers and everything.
System,
It's really.
You're like, wow.
And then if your church is fortunate enough to have a budget for a bass player, you know,
Yeah,
it's
makes
even.
and
it just goes as if you got an organ player, that's just more.
Yeah.
Less you got a program, but it still
Program,
enhances everything.
But
So it's perfect.
It allows you to do it all.
Yeah.
Man, this is incredible. So we want you guys to look out for this, the Gospel Guide, and we're gonna be showing you all sorts of ways to take your worship experience to the next level, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Like I said, you know, church is changing. It's not what it used to be.
Really
so
isn't.
it takes more,
Yeah.
and it takes more from the music department.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for real.
All right.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.